Alrighty, everyone. Taylor from Simpler. Thursday Q&A. We got a good one lined up. So let's get jumping right on in here. And filtering through the questions on Twitter, on Instagram, and here on YouTube, here's my favorite question. So, question of the week, what makes a good setup? So personally, I like to focus on, basically trading the same exact setup with the same exact structure over and over and over again. And I found that leads to consistency, and ultimately that leads to compounding the account. So to me, here's my criteria for what makes a good setup. It's got to be a good tight squeeze on either the weekly, the 3-day, or the daily time frame. The stock has to be trading above, but not too far above, the 21 period EMA. The EMAs have to be stacked positively. Now, one of the most common questions in the on the YouTube channel here is, how do I get the stacked EMAs indicator? Unfortunately, I can't share that with y'all. However, what I can share with you is something that'll help you see the stacked EMAs. So stick around towards the end of the video. I'll show you how to add that indicator, and I'll provide the code for that as well. So we need the stacked EMAs, and then the last thing here is, at the very least, no red bars on the histogram. So I use the Squeeze Pro. You can use the free squeeze version here on Thinkorswim. But at the very least, if I'm looking for a squeeze and I want to trade it to the upside, I don't want to see red bars, which is just basically bearish momentum. Preferably, we have light blue bars, which is a sign of positive momentum, but at the very least, I don't want any bearish momentum. So in a nutshell, I've built a career as a trader focusing on this kind of setup. A good weekly, 3-day, or daily squeeze, looking to take entries just above the 21, EMA stacked positively, and if you got positive momentum on the histogram, then that is certainly a bonus. So check out this daily squeeze here in Eli Lilly, LLY. Good looking squeeze, the Bollinger Bands are nice and tight, we're trading above the 21, the histogram is positive, we have the stacked moving averages. I don't care what the stock is, I'm looking to trade this setup over and over again. And the reason being is, when you have a setup with this kind of structure, that's your best bet at catching a bigger than expected move. Inside the squeeze, we're building up all kinds of energy, and typically the energy is going to get released in the direction of the prevailing trend. So, a good 70-80% of the time, a stock is basically doing nothing but banging back and forth. When you have that moment in time and we're going into the tight squeeze and we're holding right above that launching pad, the 21 EMA, there's your high probability moment in time where potentially sometime soon you're going to get a bigger than expected move. So Eli Lilly, that's the perfect example of, at least to me, of a good clean setup. So let's go through a little bit of a list here. I got about, I think, a good 10 or 15 stocks I'm going to run you through. Some of them are good clean setups and some of them are ugly. Remember, I don't care about the stock itself. What I'm looking for is this kind of structure. I love trading Teslas, I love trading Amazons, but if they're not in this kind of setup, then I just don't want to trade it. So Eli Lilly is obviously a nice one, and Tesla is going to be a no-go. And you want to get to the point where in a good 1 to 2 seconds you can look at a chart and quickly decide, is this a good candidate or is it not? So I can look at Tesla and immediately say, this is not a good candidate. We've got no squeeze, we're under the 21, no stacked moving averages. This isn't that high probability moment in time. So Tesla, we disregard. Microsoft, we're going to disregard this one too. The Bollinger Bands are just, wide open. So you got a huge range here. We're not building up energy. We're not in a squeeze. No stacked moving averages. So it does look a little bit better than Tesla, but that's going to be a no for me. Facebook, kind of ugly, right? Not the tightest squeeze, no stacked moving averages. That's just not picture perfect. Now, DraftKings was a good looking setup, but at this point it's too extended. So it's in a daily squeeze, it has stacked moving averages, it has a positive histogram, but it's too far above that 21 EMA. So if we throw the Kellner channels up here, typically we want to enter at that 21. Oops, where are they here? But, typically we want to build our long positions here at the 21, which we did in the Simpler room here on Wednesday, and you want to take your profits at that extension. So the top Kellner channel here is measuring 2 ATRs, average true range moves away from the 21. That's typically where you want to look to book your profits. If you build the habit of getting long at that 2 ATR level, you're going to be sitting through a lot of pullbacks. So with that being said, DraftKings is a good looking squeeze, but it's not at that ideal buy zone. It's way too far above the 21 on a pullback. Then we're working with something. But until then, you got to let DraftKings go. Though that was a nice trade. We took some profits there this morning. ABBV, this is picture perfect. Nice tight compression, nice tight squeeze, holding right above that 21. So the 21 EMA is the launching pad, and inside the squeeze, we're potentially building up enough energy to take liftoff, so to say. So good looking squeeze above the 21. No bearish momentum on the histogram, stacked moving averages. So this is a perfect candidate. This one stays on the focus list. Starbucks. Good looking squeeze. Moving averages are stacked positively. Positive histogram. But it's a little bit too far above the 21. So on this one, I have an alert set. If you get the pullback, then you can take an entry because it's a good clean setup. But towards that top Bollinger Band, typically not where we want to look to take an entry. So a good looking setup will keep it on the list, but no bueno for an entry right now. Roku looks like garbage. No squeeze under the 21. No thank you. Philip Morris. Right now I have no clue what this stock or what this company does, but it's a good looking squeeze. Stacked EMAs, check. Good looking squeeze above the 21. Good looking histogram. That's a good solid candidate. JWN, Nordstrom. Stacked moving averages. Nice tight squeeze. Holding right on top of that launching pad with a positive histogram. Picture perfect. Bed Bath & Beyond, BBBY. Stacked EMAs, check. Good tight squeeze, check. Holding above the 21, check. Positive histogram, this has everything we're looking for. So that looks good. Google, looks good. Above the 21, good squeeze. Stacked EMAs, you got it. OHI, decent looking squeeze. You do have stacked moving averages, but you're under the histogram, bearish momentum. That's not going to be a candidate. So you take that off the list. Let's see, AVT. Right. Not a bad looking one here. Good looking squeeze. Right above the 21, positive histogram, stacked EMAs. That's a clean one. TDG, not too bad either. Good looking squeeze. Holding above the 21. Decent looking histogram. That's not too bad. So those are the kinds of setups I like to focus on. The ABBVs, the Eli Lillys, the DraftKings earlier in the week versus, say, the Rokus or the Apples. Don't pick a favorite stock, pick a favorite setup. When you can find a setup that has that kind of structure, good tight squeeze where you're building up all kinds of energy right on top of that launching pad, the 21 EMA, you got your stacked moving averages, you got a positive histogram. Of course, the setup doesn't work every time, but over the course of 100 trades, if you can focus on a setup with this kind of structure, I'm a firm believer you're going to make out profitable. So that's the answer to that question. What makes a good clean setup? That's my criteria. Now, as far as the stacked EMAs indicator, here's what I'm going to provide y'all with. The link, or the code rather, will be in the description of this video. So for the stacked EMAs, here is what I'll have y'all do. Drawings. We don't need the drawings. We don't need the drawings. So we'll clean the chart up. All right. And we grab this code. All right. So take the code from the description of the video. And this is only for Thinkorswim. So you're going to want to go to a nice blank chart, edit studies, create a study, come in here and delete that bad boy, paste in the code. Once everything populates, you get that little there, purple nurple, hit OK. And let's call this stacked with 3 Ds. So you give it a name, you hit apply, you hit OK. These are the moving averages. So what stacked EMAs means, let's break it down here. What this means is that your 8-period EMA is on top of your 21-period EMA, which is on top of the 34, the 55, the 89, and the 144 period. When all of those EMAs are stacked on top of each other, in plain English, all it means is the stock has a good bullish structure. It's got a good solid backbone, and overall, it's in a good bullish trend, and it hasn't lost its momentum. So compare the structure here of Eli Lilly to, say, Tesla. It's pretty easy to see visually. Tesla's a total disaster right now, so its moving averages are not stacked positively. The best time to trade Tesla is when you got that daily squeeze with the stacked EMAs. Overall, you got a bullish structure, momentum leaning towards the upside. So I know y'all have been asking about the stacked EMAs label. Unfortunately, that came from one of John's small account classes, so not going to be able to share that one, but I will put the code for this one here in the description of the video. And all I suggest is, put this on a blank chart, save the study, call it stacked EMAs, and then when you're doing your scans and you're looking at a good squeeze, just as you're starting to kind of finalize your list, go on ahead and look at that squeeze with the stacked EMAs indicator. That can help you narrow it down. So hopefully you'll find this helpful. If you haven't already, go on ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also make sure you subscribe to the Simpler channel. And if you want to trade live with me Monday through Friday, you can check me out in the options room. Until the next video, I'll talk to y'all soon.